guys and gals, and welcome back to A Whole New Pod, a podcast all about Disney Channel original movies. I am your host, Lucas Melby, or should I say, Spookus Boolby.
What the hell? I'm Jacob Telligent.
That's such a scary name.
Should have said, like, girls and ghouls. Ghouls and boys.
Oh, I had to
boys
lead
and
into
ghouls.
it, though. As you can tell, this is our very spooky special episode about the 2020 presidential election.
Wow, welcome.
No, but it is special for a couple of reasons. One, as you can tell from our intro, we're covering a Halloween-themed movie. And if all goes well, I will upload this at least within a couple of days of actual Halloween.
Like that. That's happened one other time, right?
We had I don't know. We had a Christmas in July episode, but we once, early on when our podcast started, we uploaded the Halloween Town episode on Christmas Eve. So that was not well timed. And speaking of that, we are also basically, with this episode, we'll be at our 2-year anniversary.
That's what I was going to say. What about Under Wraps?
Yeah.
That would have maybe been around Halloween.
November something.
So, that's close, yeah.
2 years. At some point, we committed to trying to do a podcast every other week, which would equate to about 26 episodes a year. Yeah. So right now, this will be our 41st episode in 2 years, so we're off by 11.
20 a year.
22 weeks, so getting to be about off by half a year, but 2020, to say the least, has been a very interesting year for everybody.
Yes.
And we're on a good stretch, and I think we'll get one more in before Thanksgiving, but then got some family stuff coming up, so maybe it'll go on a bit of a break.
Hiatus.
But before we get into our movie today, which is the Scream Team.
The Scream Team.
I think it's just Scream Team.
I don't like that title after watching it.
I gotta just come out and say, I can't stop thinking about A Ring of Endless Light. Since our last episode, I just keep thinking of... I had to do... There were some dangling questions, some stuff I brought up, but wasn't able to really fully flesh out as much as I should.
Okay.
So a couple of hanging things out there.
Hanging chads.
First off, Misha Barton. We hypothesized, or we thought, does she have a weird accent? Well, what's going on with that?
Ooh.
I even maybe threw it out there that maybe she kind of sounds like British, but I'm not the best with placing dialects and accents. She is British.
Okay.
She's a British American. She was born in the UK and came over at some point and probably stayed in the US. So then probably what we were picking up in the movie. Also maybe that she's just a bad actress.
Both.
But also the things I mentioned in parts were about the differences between the book and the movie.
Yes.
And I just looked up on the Wikipedia page, and I should have just done this last time, but there is a section on the Wikipedia article called Comparison with the Novel.
Oh.
So I think I'm just going to read this in its entirety and maybe stop for some commentary along the way because it's something else. So, the television adaptation is considerably lighter in tone than the novel A Ring of Endless Light. In the book, a family friend has just died while trying to save the life of Vicky's trouble friend Zachary Gray.
Oh.
Shortly thereafter, a baby dolphin dies. A marine biologist of Vicky's acquaintance is nearly killed in an accident, and a sick girl suffers a seizure and dies in Vicky's arms.
3 people die?
In quick succession.
Oh my goodness.
In the film, Vicky's grandfather is dying, and some dolphins are threatened by illegal fishing nets, but that is about the extent of death and impending death.
Oh my god.
The fishing net storyline, which does not appear in the novel, is standard Disney fare in that it involves young characters behaving heroically in an adventure setting. Its climax, in which one of the major characters is tangled in a net and nearly drowns, echoes a similar scene in the Disney Channel movie The 13th Year.
Bingo.
Which we brought that up about the beginning, and I think I mentioned it when we were watching it, but I don't know if I brought it up in the episode that, yes, the end of this movie is basically the same. And I look up the plot and be like, is it that close? But yes, it is. Cody's mermaid mom is getting lured in by the fisher.
Yeah.
And they save her, but then the boyfriend... not boyfriend, as some people on the internet maybe want, but his friend of Cody's gets stuck in the net, so then Cody has to go save him. So it's literally what happens in A Ring of Endless Light. Then Vicky's on-screen love life is also substantially different from what appears
by 5
in
other
the book.
boys.
In the film, Zachary does not try to commit suicide.
What?
And his negative behavior has been toned down. The negative behavior he shows in the movie has been toned down.
So they're referring to him playing...
Or maybe when he was playing chicken.
That's suicide?
That could have been suicidal behavior.
Okay.
Instead, the film shows Zach involved in positive activities, most notably joining forces with Adam to expose the illegal fishing method. In the book, the character Leo Rodney competes with Zachary Gray for Vicky's attention, while Adam tries to avoid forming a romantic attachment with her because of a negative experience the previous summer.
Oh.
With her, or just somebody else the previous summer? Not clear. In the film, Adam and Zachary are rivals, and Leo does not appear. So Leo is that third boy that was...
Yeah, DiCaprio, not around.
Family relationships in the film have been similarly changed and streamlined. Vicky's parents are absent for most of the film, whereas they are very much present in the novel. In the film, Vicky's parents expect her to study science, while in the book, they encourage Vicky to choose her own path. So, again, just changing them from what they were in the book to just be basic DCOM parents for such a stupid little storyline, too.
Yes.
Vicky's older brother, John, is not mentioned, and his interest in astronomy is given to Susie instead. In the novel, Vicky's grandfather is completely honest about his illness, and from the beginning, Vicky understands that her grandfather will not be alive at the end of the summer. Also, makes a lot more sense that the grandpa would not be as supremely irresponsible as he is in the movie. In the film, the extent and nature of his illness is a secret that is only gradually revealed. So, with all of that, it begs the question, why Disney even chose the source material to make a movie off of?
Yeah.
If they changed so much. It just feels like they got the rights to the source material or something, and they were going to maybe do one of those special, more serious DCOMs. Grandpa Death. Probably would have cut out the suicide stuff no matter what, but...
Dolphin, a dead baby dolphin, except they have a birth now in this one.
It feels like they have a lot of regret about making the 13th year, because they're like, we shot our load on the mermaid movie. Why did we make the boy a mermaid? Girls like mermaids. Boys don't like mermaids. Okay, well, can't we kind of just make this girl a kind of mermaid and have her talk to dolphins? That kind of happens in this book, right? I just found that crazy. And it's so funny to look at the listing of DCOMs for the year 2002, which Scream Team is the last one of the year also. But to see, sandwiched between a movie called Gotta Kick It Up and the Scream Team, we have a movie called A Ring of Endless Light. Very hot on brand, I feel, for Disney Channel.
No.
But as Jacob said at the ending of our viewing of this movie, this is
a DCOM.
This is your daddy's DCOM.
This is your daddy's DCOM. What we've been waiting for.
Let's get into this movie.
Yeah.
But something that was not immediately spooky is the theme song we get at the top
fun
of this,
little upbeat music,
which I think you will be able to look forward to at the end of the episode, where it is one of those self-titled songs in a DCOM that usually they save for the ending credits. This time we get it both at the beginning and the end.
Bingo.
Where it is singing about the Scream Team, which is two words that are never mentioned or stated at any point in the movie.
No, they use what's the phrase they use to describe themselves?
We'll get to that.
I was like, there's a different word they use. I mean, there are always name drops, even for Ring of Endless Light. There was a name drop, but nothing.
We're getting this kind of funky Scream Team theme song that is less spooky than even the Monster Mash. And the credits are all kind of wavy, kind of supposed to be like ghosts, I guess.
Yeah.
Going through a woods, and we see some impressive names. We first see a with credit. So with Eric Idle, if people don't know, is one of the members of Monty Python. So quite the famous comedic actor. I believe he was the one who wrote Spamalot, the Tony Award winning musical.
Okay.
And we also get the and credit for Kathy Najimy, who would also have been a pretty big name around this time.
Yeah, right after...
but she was one of the witches in Hocus Pocus, and then also one of the nuns in Sister Act, and Sister Act 2 back in the habit.
Okay.
Kind of, I don't know, maybe relative of this time, not the biggest names, but I mean, still people I recognize.
Yeah.
And we'll eventually see one of the main kids is Claire, who is played by, I don't remember her name, but she's the actress. She's one of the Broke Girls. She's one half of Two Broke Girls, the CBS sitcom that I think was popular, but It's one of those shows that apparently runs forever, but only like your grandpa and grandma watch it. It's the NCIS of sitcoms.
Fair.
And then we see a ghost.
Ghost.
In the form of, I don't know, a
Lights?
transparent wisp kind of.
Blue and yellow?
Yeah, we eventually get more multicolored wispy ghosts that
they're all different colors.
Yeah, they look kind of like the very inspired interpretation of an alien in Xenon the sequel.
Yes.
But in this, it's a little disappointing that the ghosts are just, I don't know, for a period of time, just these wispy things, and then they just turn into people in costumes.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yes.
But we see a ghost flying around a house, and then we see immediately a dead man sitting in a chair. Oh! And then we see, wisping to a different part of the house, a lady talking to a cop saying,
I just came in here to carve some pumpkins, and he was dead.
And then we see pumpkins on the table to
Not
establish
carved.
that they were going to carve pumpkins.
Yes, and they were not carved.
And then we get a couple of dramatic zoom-ins on these pumpkins, and then hard cut to a fun little scene of, is this the dead guy?
Oh.
Working on this weird machine with these two little kids who
Yes.
we'll soon learn are Ian and Claire. And it's some weird pumpkin carving machine.
Yes.
So it's I got vibes very much of the dad inventor from Disney's Beauty and the Beast, where he tries to create, I think it's a dishwashing machine. No, it's a wood chopping machine. And it just
That
goes
sounds right.
crazy awry.
Yes.
And that's very much what the eccentric inventor vibe.
Yeah, it at first, it like just smashes the pumpkin to a pulp. It's just like a...
Yeah, we should say that it is not working very well.
No. It just pulverizes it.
And looking at how it works, it's just, it's some kind of spatula type thing coming down from the top, hitting the pumpkin to squash it. I don't know how it could feasibly ever carve it.
No.
And then we find out that this isn't actually a scene. Well, it's a scene, but it's being seen by the characters in the movie on a television at the wake memorial service.
Memorial service,
for
yes.
his grandfather.
Yes.
And I thought that was kind of a nice little moment.
Fun little fade
and
out.
I commented to Jacob as we were watching this that this already has more emotional resonance in it, in this little sequence. Than all of A Ring of Endless Light.
Well, I mean, and then of course you have the buzzkill of a father be like, is this something really appropriate to be watching, here? Kids are like, it's a celebration of his life.
In Johnny Tsunami fashion, we get set up generational daddy issues.
Yes.
So the kids aren't getting along that well with their dad, but the dad also says, man, this is a stupid invention. This is crap. Waste of time. So he didn't get along with his dad.
He had daddy issues, yes.
So these two kids, it's a brother and sister. Older sister, younger brother, Ian and Claire. And they're at this funeral. Their dad says, go talk to people. Stop watching emotional videos of you with your grandpa. That's not appropriate. And she happens across the guy rifling through her grandpa's
she goes into his library, which is closed. I think she goes into it because she heard smashing.
Well, yeah, because there's a pile of books thrown onto the floor.
And he just keeps throwing them off.
And this is Warner, who you can quickly pick up on. He's not really the main villain, but he's a tertiary villain.
Yes. He describes himself as a friend of the grandfather, but I believe the father, after he comes in, he tells him that they were like
after he leaves,
enemies.
He goes, that Warren, or Warner.
Warner.
What kind of name is Warner?
Warner. Kurt Warner. That's a last name.
The Warner Brothers, I believe that was the last name.
Last name's okay.
But that Warner, he fucking hated Grandpa. So what was he trying to find? Oh, who knows? But he gives Claire a flyer for the town's Halloween festival.
Yes.
The town, which is called Steeple Falls.
Okay.
Which is in Massachusetts.
Yes.
It's a fake town. But it's in real Massachusetts.
Yes.
So then after the funeral, Ian's down in Grandpa's basement messing around with some of his inventions.
Yeah.
Very Rube Goldberg type stuff. But then also just weird inventions. And then Dad comes down and is like, this is all a bunch of fucking junk. And Ian's like, no, this is the greatest stuff. This was a portable vacuum cleaner. This was a blah, blah, blah. This was a pumpkin carving machine that was going to
revolutionize pumpkin
carving.
carving.
He kept going off and Dad's like, what is this? I don't know, but okay, maybe that's the garbage one. But before this happened, we hear a ghostly sound of somebody saying,
Yeah, they're like whispering for him. And at first I thought it was going to be that creepy old dude again for whatever reason, just like trying to fuck with him. Like,
yeah, Jacob in this movie,
I'm just like,
we
what?
know is going to have ghosts and he'd be like, somebody pull a prank on this
well,
kid?
but see, are we supposed to think that was Grandpa? But I don't think it would have been. I don't think it could have been.
It was.
But
They
how?
don't really spell it out, but they play a little loosey-goosey with some of the
I
ghosts in
don't.
this
Yeah,
movie.
yes, it should not have been grandfather, but it was. But yes, it was. But I don't see how it could have been. But yes, continue. Sorry.
That night, after Ian spazzed out at his dad a little bit, they're having a nice little family sit down by the fire. Kids and
Yeah.
dad, because at some point in the movie, find out that the mom is dead.
Mom is dead.
Also in classic decom fashion.
But what's the sad part is we never see her.
Well, we'll
Missed
find out
opportunity.
kind of why that is.
Mm,
We'll find out the inner workings of the afterlife.
yes.
So Dad sees the flyer for the festival and says, "Oh, you should go to it. It's a huge deal. It's
Yeah, like
starting to compete with Salem as a Halloween destination."
wasn't somebody like against it? Maybe.
Grandpa was not a fan. He said
Yeah.
it was a cheese ball.
Not a fan.
But on the flyers, a kind of spooky looking
Spooky dude.
guy in a top hat.
Yes.
And Dad explains that this is Zachariah Cole.
Cole.
Or Cole.
Something
I can't
like
exactly
that.
tell what they're saying sometimes. And he was... The story, he gives us a story, and we see a flashback, and it's just like, he was a guy who set a lot of fires. Isn't that
Yeah.
spooky? No, not really in the grand scheme of things. It's not like he was making a deal with the devil or anything.
But like he started a lot of things on fire.
Yeah,
a
we get a
big arsonist.
flashback.
We yes, the flashback. We see him
Just kind of chilling in front of
He's
his
just
house on
hanging
a
out.
hay-bale.
and is like, was it his wife
Yeah,
that
his
pissed him
wife
off?
is yelling at him, "Hey, Zachariah, get in here!"
And he's like, fuck you, bitch. He throws like a torch,
He lights a torch and just
it just-
lazily throws it behind
and
him.
it lands in the grass though, but it burned on the whole
Yeah, we see
cabin.
it light the grass, and
Yes.
then he says, "Yep, it burned." And apparently, they later on say the house exploded. So I don't know. He had a trail of gunpowder or
Yes.
something lined up.
Oh boy.
And then I guess that night he also went on and started other fires.
He started like the town hall or something on fire. Yeah.
And then we see him become a spooky fireball ghost man.
Yes.
And he looks at the camera and laughs, and he throws a very bad CG
Yes,
fireball.
and we're chased by it. Like we're running
Yeah.
away from the ball of
It's chasing
fire.
The camera as it's
Cameraman.
zooming
Or
away.
the camera.
Yeah, the effects in this movie. Not
hokey.
the best.
They're hokey, but it's fun.
Ian's like, "The town's haunted?" No, Zachariah is just a story. But in the grand scheme of legends towns can have, the legend of the guy who burned down lots of stuff
This-
sounds fairly feasible.
This spooky man with natural gas. Watch
we won't
out.
get to the magic of natural gas yet. Friggin' seems like an educational film.
Oh boy.
But after he says the town's haunted, and the dad's like, "No, it's fine. The doors of the house burst open,"
Yes.
which causes the flyer to maybe go into the fire,
Fly
and they
into the
come back and
fire.
it's on fire.
It's on
Oh
fire,
my
yes.
gosh.
They stomp it out, and then it's still the creepy face of Zachariah on the poster.
Yeah, which the face on the flyer is far creepier than
Yes.
actual Zachariah.
Yes.
Even after his spooky ghost
They
transformation.
definitely play him up.
And then that night, spooky stuff continues to happen because Ian's bed starts
To shake.
So he runs and gets his dad, and he comes up, and Dad's like, "Oh, there's got to be a scientific explanation for this." And there is
They
because...
open the door, and the sister's crawling out from underneath the bed.
Yeah. Which,
He's pissed.
that's got to be some, like, back strength or something to get underneath the bed.
Like, this bed is rocking.
This is, maybe
It's
a couple dials
rocking.
click back from Exorcist level bed
Yes.
shaking. But
It's pretty aggressive.
don't come a knocking because this bed is rocking.
Ooh.
They're not blood related.
True.
So then she's
Hopefully.
like, "Oh well, spooky stuff is silly. Ghosts aren't real," and she leaves.
Yeah.
But then more spooky stuff keeps happening.
Yes.
Because books go flying off the shelf. The closet
lamp-
door opens.
The lamp doesn't shatter, but it falls over.
And then we see another one of those
Lights.
ghostly, transparent wisp light things.
Yes.
And he
Chases
Ian gets
it.
up and he follows
Chases it down the stairs, and then his dad catches him before he catches the light, and he's like, "What the hell?" And he's like, "Dad, the ghost,
Take a
the
Scooby snack
light."
and go back to bed.
He walks him back up to his room, and he's like, "Well, how could all this stuff like get like knocked over? Like, who threw the books on the ground?" And the sister, I think, is like, "Well, you fucking did it, you fucking skis." But
yeah, it's very unclear. A lot of this stuff with like the dad is unclear.
like he seems very mad, and then he seems very understanding, and then he's very mad and very understanding.
I'm like, oh my god, we got a decon.
Yes,
dad.
we did think we were going to hate him, but he's pretty chill.
No, he
Daddy.
becomes a very not overruling father basically after that first scene.
Yeah, like later on they'll get in trouble, and he just doesn't care. He's like, yeah, fuck it, do it again, I don't care.
And we get a little background with him over the course of the movie that, we find this box he made for his dad in woodworking class or something, and it's filled with a lot of little memories. So, maybe my dad did like me. One of them is an article about him. Local boy goes to Harvard. And at the end of the movie, we see him, spoiler, he creates like a medical practice in the town. So it's like, I guess he was a medical doctor the whole time.
he his medical practice takes the place of his father's hardware business.
Yes, that's true. I didn't really pick up on that, but I think there was some bad blood where maybe, I think the son thought he was going to inherit the store, but then the dad closed down the store. And at the end of the movie, we'll maybe get a reason why that was. I'm making sense of it. Live.
Yeah. You got this more put together than I do.
So then they are returning some stuff to the library because some of the books that it looks like Warner was after were actually from the local library. And we get a kind of cool transition as they're walking out to the car. We're seeing the shot from inside the house, and there's some breath fogging up the window. And then we cut to Ian looking into a display case at the library, which I guess also functions as like a local museum.
Yes.
Fogging up the glass.
Yes.
So that was kind of a little inspired sequence. They stumble onto the festival in the town square as it's getting worked on.
Set up, yeah.
We see Warner, and then, this is where he mentions something about, because I think Warner has a hardware store, so he's like, well, I'm glad your grandpa shut down his store because now I'm making bank. Okay, Warner.
He's got his dogs, and he's got his boyfriend with him, and he's got his MAGA hat on, and...
Not that there's anything wrong if he had a boyfriend. He doesn't, but he does roll up in a pickup truck at one point, and I got some Make America Great Again vibes.
Definitely.
A rally for him.
No, I was just joking. There was some guy with him.
Claire says at one point, the town's filled with a bunch of bumpkins.
Oh, yes. Not to get confused with a blumpkin. Don't look that up.
Okay. So then in the basement, or Ian comes out of the basement with some of Grandpa's old gadgets.
Yeah.
Including the weird vacuum cleaner thing, which basically just looks like a shop vac. But apparently it has its own power source, so it doesn't need to be plugged in.
That's pretty good.
And Ian says, I'm going to go catch myself a ghost. And he pretty easily catches a ghost.
Well, where does he find Jumper?
Yeah, well, eventually learning this ghost name is Jumper.
I don't even remember like that
just
happening.
On the second floor, he's wisping around. I think he goes into a keyhole of a door. And he doesn't even use the vacuum, I don't think. I think he just puts the jar up to the keyhole. So then when the ghost comes back out to the keyhole, he then puts the lid on it, and he's got himself a ghost.
So, yes, that's one of his traps. I guess they refer to his traps like that being a trap because they wanted to trap the bad dude later on with one of his traps.
So then he shows it to Claire, and it's just this face basically inside this jar, and she freaks out.
Yeah.
And it's like, in the grand scheme of things, as far as spooky things ghosts could do or look like, just seeing one in a jar...
I don't know. If you saw a face in a jar, you wouldn't be spooked?
I wouldn't scream.
What the hell?
Ah! But she's simultaneously scared of it, but she also doesn't believe that it's a ghost, because ghosts aren't real.
Yes.
And then we get the man himself, Eric Idle, shows up, first as a wisp. And then he materializes as just it looks like fully corporeal revolutionary.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like one of Washington's men.
Got gross teeth and everything.
Yep, wooden teeth.
And he's all like, hey, Mike, can I bother you to maybe open up my jaw and get my old cuz out of there? And he's like, nope, I won't. And then he's like, And then he scares them. He does a very... kind of Jack Skellington in Nightmare Before Christmas, where he turns around and then turns and makes a big face. Also kind of like Beetlejuice. There's plenty of Beetlejuice in this movie where his eyes bug out, his mouth gets all wide. They can see through the back of his head into just like the rest of the hallway.
And was this at the spooky house?
No, this was just at Grandpa's house still.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Which I guess we didn't make clear that they're staying at Grandpa's house. That's where the memorial service
Yeah, and the
was.
kid that one night before he fell asleep, he's like, he's like, did he die here?
In this bed?
In this
I'm
bed?
weirdly sleeping in Grandpa's bed.
The deathbed.
So then he tries to suck up Eric Idle into the vacuum, but he flies away.
Yeah, but they chase him.
They do. They chase
They
him.
chase.
I think they bring the jar along with them.
Yes, because they exchange. Well, they're going to
They
exchange.
chase him out into the woods, but they eventually lose him.
Yes.
But then the sister looks up and is like, "Oh fuck!
Look at all these
Ghosts.
fucking. They're all different colors.
Tits, man! Look at all the fucking ghosts!"
I mean, there was like
y'all."
7 or 8 people died that night in town. That's a lot.
So then the ghosts, they follow them, and the ghosts seem to all be going into this chimney
Yes.
of this old dilapidated house. And we get some shots of kind of from the ghost point of view, or
And he's like,
flying
oh.
around, and it's very reminiscent of Sam Raimi's work in like Evil Dead. where we're
Okay.
getting the first person spirit view.
Yes. And he's explaining to.
Well, then we see the inside of the house.
Yes.
Which,
yes.
speaking of Beetlejuice, is just Beetlejuice.
Yes.
They call it the Soul Retrieval Center.
And
but
it's just
is-
people stepping up to walk through a portal
it's
to.
the waiting area for hell or whatever it is
Yeah.
in Beetlejuice, but not as the deaths or the ghosts are not as grotesque. There's not
Yeah.
anybody with a shrunken head or
Those are good.
something through the chest
Classic.
or anything.
Classic
We just see
Beetlejuice.
some people. Some are in goofy outfits like a cheerleader, or we see an
Yeah.
Elvis impersonator at one point. But
Yeah.
the only way to really distinguish them as being dead is they're kind of gray.
They're gray, yes.
I guess we do see a beekeeper who got like stung to death.
He was swollen up.
But that was the grossest, creepiest thing we could.
Yes, I concur.
All the ghosts, the end goal seems to be them going through this mirror, and that allows them to pass on to
Yeah.
whatever is
And some of
beyond.
them aren't allowed to. They're like banned to go through.
Yes. One of those is Kathy Najimy, who is a dead bride, who's directing the ghost traffic.
Yeah.
We'll find out her name is Mariah. And then Eric Idle flies up to her and is like, "Oh, fuck. Mate, I'll really royally
Like he's
screw this."
trying to, like he explains in a very strange way that there's like 2 children. He never says kids.
Well,
He
he's
just says
"I
like
got a couple problems.
problems.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what it was.
First problem, where's your damn ghost? That's problem number 1. And then we hear the kids' voices. You brought kids here? That's problem number 2. And the kids
They crash through the floor.
And
they land on, like, a bed.
inside the house, and then they're just.
They land on like a sofa or something.
I thought when we saw all the ghosts going into the chimney that it was kind of like they were entering a portal to like
Okay.
the ghost realm, so that it wasn't an actual physical
No,
space.
they
in the
literally
real
just
world.
live in the
But
basement.
yeah, the
of
kids
this
fall through the
house.
floor. They aren't really that hurt, and it was a sizable drop.
And they're not really surprised by what they see. At least the boy isn't. The
Claire's
girl.
screaming a lot.
Yeah.
But that's the
girl.
thing, again, it's like these, as far as you can tell, aren't ghosts except that they're
Exactly.
gray. They're not doing anything scary. They're not trying to like scare the kids immediately.
You only know they're ghosts if you try to like dive through them.
Yeah.
So
So then Kathy Najimy, Mariah, she retrieves the jar.
Yes.
Which she's able to hold the jar, but she can't
but she
open
can't
it.
open it.
Because she moves through the lid, but she can hold the jar. But then Eric
Ghost
Idle,
problems. Just drops it, and she's like, "Oh, thanks."
who we learn is his ghost name is Coffin Ed. which
He does
is a
try to
good name.
to convince the kids that they're only dreaming as
Which I
well.
will say, Eric Idle, I think is very funny. I really enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably some of my favorite parts of like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. He's cowardly he's Sir Robin in that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't think of like all the characters he plays, but he's a very funny
He's
guy.
always been old.
But I feel like the comedy he's given in this is just, it's very Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't
Well,
have
what the
a lot
hell?
to
What's he gonna
work
do? What
Yeah, he doesn't get a lot to
Yeah.
work with, but I just feel like his
He's-
talents are kind of wasted.
I-
And
I-
even Kathy Najimy, like, she's
Yeah.
a funny actress, and she's like the serious ghost. It's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck are you doing?
I think both of them, they still did well in their roles for the movie.
Yeah, but it just seems maybe they wrote the parts and then.
Hell of a lot better than the girl from the last movie.
Well, yes, they are trained actors.
And
actresses.
I mean, even the kids didn't give me like, oh, like that.
No, I found Ian a little obnoxious.
Yeah.
Almost in the way of like the son in Mom
Mom's got a date.
Don't look, Mom's got a date with a vampire.
Mom's got a date with a vampire. Just kind of like a...
But he's not the worst child ever.
No.
He's just a little obnoxious.
Yeah.
Coffin Ed takes the jar from Mariah, drops it on the floor, and then we see Jumper. Who is called Jumper because he was in the movie with Hayden Christensen. No, it's because he looks like he was a skydiver.
And just didn't pull his cord.
Yeah.
Because or maybe he did, because like it's like open on his back, like kind of.
I enjoyed that they some
it just
have
like failed.
spooky names. Coffin Ed's a fun name, but then Mariah's just Mariah.
Mariah.
And Coffin Ed, I guess we assume he was in a coffin at some point. But yes, they are the Soul Patrol.
Soul Patrol. Soul Patrol. That's the word. Not Scream Team.
Not Scream Team.
So why isn't it called Soul Patrol? Maybe that's like a 70s like jazz group.
I meant to look up that maybe Soul Patrol is copyrighted in a way that they can use it in the movie to refer to themselves, but they can't name a product.
I believe.
That they want to copyright.
I believe that. I guarantee that's like a 70s soul group.
Song or something.
Yes.
I mean, even Ghostbusters got into a legal issue where there was a different show where they had like a guy in a gorilla suit.
That actually was that a show on Netflix
they
that
also
talks
made
about
a cartoon of that to capitalize on some of the Ghostbusters names. So then there was the Ghostbusters cartoon, and then there was the real Ghostbusters. And I can't remember which was which as far as what was the actual like, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray cartoon version.
Oh.
So I'm just imagining it's something like this. I did not see on IMDb or Wikipedia any reference to some kind of legal issue.
Yeah.
The only thing I saw was that this was supposed to be a pilot for a TV show.
What?
I couldn't
the
find
movie was?
I couldn't find anything to corroborate that.
That would have been an okay.
It seems weird that it doesn't seem like anything Disney ever does.
No.
They make a
movie and then a show.
Start off a show.
They make shows then movies.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I'm going to say IMDb trivia, that was a goof, actually. You done lied to me.
Would have enjoyed that show, though. I mean, especially with that cast, but...
Well, yeah, also, it just seems like a lot to tie down Eric Idle and Catherine Genie to a Disney Channel show.
I agree.
So looking around in this retrieval center, and they see a book of a list of all the dead people, and they see Grandpa's name, and that he is seemingly not crossed over. And Mariah is saying like, oh, yep, sometimes people do that when they got something they still want to do.
Have something to finish.
In the human world.
That's right.
So Mariah's role is very odd, where we don't really understand why the Soul Patrol has been assigned their duties where they're not allowed to cross over.
No, yeah, we never find out.
To ferry in souls that have died. So they were supposed to get Grandpa's soul.
Yeah.
But all the other ghosts seem to be finding
walking
their own
over
way
fine.
Because Jumper was in a jar and Eric Idle, Coffin Ed, was just running away. So like everybody else knows, and we don't see any other members of the Soul Patrol. So the operations seem a little sketchy. Yeah. But apparently their numbers are very good, and they have a high crossover
99.99999%.
So Mariah is not motivated to track down Grandpa's soul?
Well, because she just doesn't care anymore. She's out of there in like a week, so she just wants to just kind of like
I don't remember if that's
by.
brought up here, though. Later on it's brought up that she was close to leaving, but then like the kids strike a deal with her. I'm like, is this their fucking job? Like, I don't understand what bargaining power they have. But they make a deal to say, hey, you'll help us get Grandpa to cross over, and that's cool. Don't want our grandpa to stay around forever. It's very muddy.
Yes.
So then at Grandpa's house, they get home that night, and the dad is there with the cops. But they smooth everything over by saying...
They were frog hunting.
That's a thing kids in Massachusetts do.
The sister was about to, tell Papa... it was all going down for real.
Yeah, she was actually going to tell him.
She was.
The ghosts.
She was, and then the brother's like, no, we were frog hunting.
Yeah, Ian.
And then I got lost, and she had to find me, and then we both got lost, and then, well, here we are. We lost ourselves at home.
Yeah, Ian's a little quicker on his feet.
Yes.
So then the next day, the dad goes into town. Like, hey, kids, you want to check out this shitty town? And they're like, no, that's cool.
So he leaves.
Yeah.
He's gone 5 seconds, and then he's back. And he catches them going upstairs to...
Which, they act like that would be something suspicious because they were supposed to be packing up books or something.
Yes, so
But,
immediately
what would the dad suspect them of doing by going upstairs?
Right. And then so he's like, well, I'm going to leave again. I'm back again, like 10 seconds
But
later.
as he was doing all this, he's just like, "You sure you guys are okay? You're not doing anything weird?" And it's like, he just completely switched over to being kind of concerned and nice dad.
Yes.
Which I found really odd. Then they are just trying to conjure up Grandpa. And they're like, "Hey, Grandpa." And brother's like, "Nah, you gotta do it like this. Like, hey, holla at your boy, Grandpa. What's up, G-Pa?"
G-Pa.
And he eventually materializes, and I found his ghost to be the creepiest of the scene.
Because it's almost like he can't talk,
and he's got very dead eyes.
Yeah,
obviously his eyes are dead, but they are very dead.
But I thought he just couldn't talk. Like I thought something was actually wrong with him, but there wasn't. I don't think.
No, I guess he just doesn't know how to use.
It was weird.
Voice.
Yeah, it was
but
weird.
But eventually he's like, "Oh, Ian."
Behind you. Well, because behind them, there's this big-ass fireball forming.
Yep, it's old Zachariah. Cole.
How did he get through it? Oh, it's through the chimney.
Yeah, he goes through a fireplace, and we see his spooky flame ghost, and
it forms, and then he just fucking takes Grandpa.
Yeah.
And he, crushes him. I thought he, killed him, when he did that.
Well, he pulls him into, a fireball in his hand.
Yes,
and then crushes it, and I guess absorbs him.
Yeah.
And here in my notes, I have him described as Fabio with black hair and a top hat.
Hey.
Also kind of maybe looks like Lucius Malfoy, but with, again, black hair and a top hat.
And then he just says something like, "Here's a parting gift for you," and then he sets their...
He sounds really weird.
Yeah.
And they do the decom thing. Again, his effects look terrible, but they do the decom thing.
The fucking slow down, that was so bad.
Effects heavy shots, they slow it down.
It was really bad.
I just can only assume in an attempt to make it look
spookier,
better.
creepier.
But then he's talking, but they slow it down so that his words aren't matching his lips because his lips are moving at half speed. So
yes.
It's all really hokey.
But he starts the house on fire.
Yeah, as he leaves, the curtains start on fire. Fortunately, Grandpa keeps a fire extinguisher in his house.
It's right in his bedroom. They put it out. And then the dad's immediately inside again.
Yeah.
So he left.
I was gone for 10 minutes to start the damn house on fire.
Yeah.
But then, yeah. The dad is
Then they have to explain to him, he's like, are you guys acting out? What is happening to you two?
He's still fairly understanding and
not pissed, not mad.
Yeah, not super angry, not overly concerned. Because kids are pretty easily able to just sneak out again.
Yeah, they do. Well,
find the Soul Patrol, and they tell him about, hey, Zachariah, he's spooky as hell, and he's sucked up our grandpa.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's not going to be able to cross over now because Zachariah owns his soul.
He owns a lot of souls.
And then Mariah seems to be too scared to get his soul back, but Jumper is all in, and then Coffin Ed joins in as well.
Yeah, why not?
The Scream team is off. We get one more, we didn't mention it earlier, but there's a really lame joke where Jumper keeps asking Ian for a high five.
Yes. That's pretty good.
Ian passes through him, but he follows through
aggressive.
So hard.
It's
that he
aggressive.
falls over every single time when he misses.
That's funny.
So then apparently Zachariah lives in a mine in the woods.
Yes.
So the Soul Patrol and kids go and check that out.
And it's like an active mine. There's an elevator that
works. It's very weirdly modern.
Lights up.
Yeah, so it's got a working, as you said, elevator.
Yeah.
And there seems to be kind of even a metal support structure for part of the actual mine tunnel. But then there's lanterns on the wall.
The light up when they walk by.
I think that's more a spooky thing.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a weird combination. And there's some stuff about Zachariah where it's when did he exist? And it's supposed to be 200 years
old.
Ago.
But this stuff is the last 50 years.
Tesla at some point.
Or 60 years. It's a lot more modern. Who knows? But he was an inventor, so.
So then they come up to him in his lair, and he's just kind of a massive fire cloud floating in the air.
Above a big hole.
Looks terrible.
Yeah.
The fire cloud, the pit is fine. It's a very deep pit.
Very deep.
Almost like Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs, which also kind of is what Zachariah looks like.
Put the lotion in the basket.
He's like, you fuck me. I fuck me.
I'd fuck me hard. Okay, that was a little aggressive.
So they sneak up to him and they just have the vacuum
They
cleaner
fucking,
with
they
them.
have the vacuum cleaner and they're trying to suck him up. And they do. Like, he's getting sucked
Yeah,
up.
they suck him up and then it's like, oh no, something's happening. But then he gets out, then they put him back into the vacuum cleaner.
Yes.
But then...
And then they put a cork in it. And then the two ghosts are sitting on the vacuum and it starts to shake.
Yeah, and then it explodes out. And after the explosion,
He
Claire
steals...
falls into the pit.
Oh, yeah.
And Ian's reaction is, oh no!
Oh, like literally, oh no.
And
she's
his
like,
sister's hanging by a rock.
yes.
In this pretty flat-walled pit.
The pit is
seems to go
creepy.
to-
Like, I don't know if we saw Grandpa's face in the pit, but like there were like 5, 6, 7, 8
yeah, it's like
other faces.
It's like the Little Mermaid in Ursula's cave.
Oh,
where she has
yes.
the souls is kind of like
Yes.
the weird wispy coral reef or seaweed. We see
Yes.
souls that Zacharias trapped.
That was
as
creepy.
Stones in the pit wall.
And they're like just like
cool,
yeah,
cool look.
like she's hanging on their heads and stepping on their faces, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Help!
Zero chill. with
Help
Claire.
us! Help!"
Ian grabs a rope and tosses it down to her.
Yep, ties it up to a cart though first to make sure that
That makes a
support.
little more sense.
Yes.
How he was able to support her weight.
Yes.
While he's doing that, Jumper is distracting Zachariah in a very obnoxious way. I don't like Jumper very much.
I don't remember what was he doing.
He's just kind of like, blee, blee, give me, blee, you're not so
And-
scary, chickens.
And Ed was trying to help.
But he can't pull.
Paul.
He can handle a jar to throw it on the ground, but he can't
Yes.
pull on a rope because he
Dude's-
passes through it. Just to be clear on that. It's not
Yes,
that he's not
like he's
willing
trying. Like
to.
we see his hands, and he's like, "I'm
This
doing the
thing
best
he
I
can't
can."
deal with.
And he's like, "Can you pull any harder? I'm doing the best I can."
This part of the physical world, he can't mess around with.
No,
Claire gets pulled out, but unfortunately, Jumper gets captured
and crushed
by
again in the hand.
Zachariah.
And then eventually he too becomes a face on the wall or the
Yeah,
well
we do
wall,
see
whatever.
cutaways back to him later in the movie that I did not write down in my notes because I'm like, that's Jumper stuff. I don't care.
Yes.
But as they leave, Coffin Ed says, "I'll save Jumper if
Takes me another
if
250
I die
years.
trying." To which Ian says, like, man, that sounds kind of like an empty promise.
Empty
or
promise.
Deal. And it's like, fuck off. As I said, a lot of the jokes just fall flat.
So Spooky Dude takes off back out the way that they came in, and you can tell because there's a big ass like fireball hole through the
very
door.
Cartoonish fire hole. Going back to the Coffin Ed lines, there doesn't really seem to be a huge connection between Jumper and Coffin Ed.
No,
But they, throughout the rest of the movie, they do act like they're like
buddies.
timeless friends. And
Yeah.
there seems to be really no chemistry between them.
No,
Which
Ed.
maybe because Coffin Ed is a Revolutionary Era soldier. What was
Oh.
there in America at that time?
Slaves.
Slavery, and Jumper is an African American.
He's a Buffalo
So,
Soldier.
I don't-
We do see a Buffalo Soldier in this movie.
Yeah, who I guess is part of the Soul Retrieval Center, but not part of the Soul Patrol because he's like checking people in. So I guess
Yeah.
some other people are.
They're
Pretty, that's pretty. That's a bad look for the afterlife. Where
Yeah.
a soldier. A black soldier who fought to end slavery is now sentenced to an indefinite
Slavery.
period of working for the afterlife. Not a good look, Soul Patrol. As
So
you said.
at the very top, Ed's like, well, we'll see you in like 10 to 15 years. I don't. He makes that joke like twice, or just something about prison. Like,
Because
good
cops
luck in
pull up.
prison. But yes, the cops that visited their house were there now, and
'Cause there's a
then
big fire hole.
yes, and I don't know why they're just out here visiting the mine. But the kids are like, well, can we just pretend this like didn't happen? You know, and don't tell our dad.
No, your dad will just pretend it didn't happen.
Yes, which is exactly what happens.
Because their dad is kind of pissed and says, hey, I'll take you back to Boston tomorrow. This is actually, the angriest he probably gets. And they go back to Grandpa's house and argue in, classic decom family dysfunction fashion. But then there's an explosion noise, and then they go outside and they
The
see
whole lawn's
a
on fire.
And
Stay away!
It spells out the fire or burn marks spell out, stay away. So the next morning, the dad isn't convinced that it was Zachariah's ghost that did it, but he
No.
also says that he's not going to take them home anymore.
He's convinced that it's that other dude.
So this is where we get the really great, probably the funniest moment of the movie, where he says to the kids, no more trouble, and Ian
Yes.
says, can you be more specific? Cut to them walking in the woods with Ed.
I'm glad he wasn't more
Good
specific.
thing he wasn't more specific.
That was funny.
So
that was
a
good.
genuinely funny moment.
Like that.
And I was really confused with a lot of what's going on here because Claire, I think and maybe one of the books knows that there's supposed to be a crater in the woods.
Yeah, I don't remember how they find out there's a crater with a pole sticking out of the ground.
There's also some throwaway line that this is maybe on Warner's land, and he's trying to make it a tourist destination.
So they're walking through to get there, and we can tell that something is following them.
It follows.
Yes.
And she says, I just had a hunch that this would be here. And she finds a pipe coming out of the crater?
Yes, that releases natural gas.
Yeah, we eventually either hear or put it together eventually that it's natural gas.
And there's something in the museum or town hall that belongs to the pipe that I think maybe like that you would turn to turn it on and off.
It's like maybe Zachariah. Yeah, they find a part that so it's like this was not a modern pipe. This is something Zachariah built.
And 200 years ago.
250 years ago. When probably not a lot of America even had indoor plumbing.
No, because the boy says, wasn't natural gas found 50 years later in there?
These kids are very up to date on natural gas.
And then the dad makes the comment what the fuck? How do you know that? He's like, yeah, I was just reading some of Grandpa's books, got it all figured out.
So then, what was following them? Oh no, it's a scary dog.
It is spooky.
But it's a very reserved dog because if it's a guard dog of this property, it followed them slowly and then is just growling at them by the base of the crater.
But it looks scary.
And then Ed distracts it.
It's like a German Shepherd.
And the kids run away. And the dog jumps through Ed because
he gets impaled on the metal pole.
That's what it could have seemed.
It did. It literally looked like he was jumping onto it, but he doesn't. Dog is fine. He is scared and tired, though. Later on, we'll see. The dog is just tired out.
So then they go to the library for maybe looking at artifacts, because this is where they see the other part of the pipe.
Yes.
But then also books, but that Warner has taken the books that they returned from their grandpa.
The girl's like, it's only been Warner that's been looking at them. But yes, they are gone.
So outside, Warner's is there in his truck, and his dog is in the back. So we put together, it was pretty clear that it was going to be Warner's dog, but it was Warner's dog.
And he knows that they were on the property.
Yeah.
He makes a remark, yes. So there were different parts of the movie that I thought him and the creepy dude were working together almost.
It would make for a more satisfying villain, but they didn't want it to be a scary villain. They wanted it to be a redeemable villain. Which I guess is an interesting take.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a Calabar situation where
True.
Zachariah is getting his revenge in this movie. We don't need a sequel. We don't need the Scream Team 2 Soul Patrol. That would work. That would work. So then they go to Warner's house, and we see a panning shot of the inside, an establishing shot of his house. And there's a hilarious giant picture of Warner.
But before they get in, they say that they don't want to get in trouble again for breaking and entering or whatever. So the ghost opens the door, so then it's not breaking and entering.
I don't care about that. I don't want to talk about this picture.
I thought that was funny.
This picture is not like a...
It's not a painting. It's not... Yes.
It looks basically like just an ID photo face. Just blown up to full size. Maybe an actor headshot at best.
It's funny.
Very goofy. Ed lets them in, makes another comment about, hey,
see you in 10 to 15 years.
You gave your mom a date with a vampire? You're going to prison forever.
Don't drop the soap.
This is a Disney.
Yeah.
For family.
You said some nasty things earlier.
Show me the tape.
We'll hear it.
In this episode?
Yeah.
On this podcast?
Yeah.
In this room?
Yeah.
In the state of Minnesota?
In the country of the USA.
So then they find the books, but then Warner's home.
So they're trying to fucking get this, what do you call slide locks?
Warner's got 800 locks on his door.
And they can't get it open.
For whatever reason, just for the scene to make sense. But then Warner goes to immediately look for his book.
He has a feeling that there's somebody in there.
Because his back door is wide open.
Oh, yes. So he runs upstairs, he's like, those motherfuckers. And then he's going to go out of his front door, and then the dad's there.
The dad comes through.
He's knocking on his head, and then Warner does a pose like he's ready to fight him. He's gonna punch him in the head, but he doesn't.
I mean,
and then he's like, "Oh, your fucking kids were here," and the dad's like, "No, what do you mean? Why would they be here?" And then in the back, you can see one of their coats stuck in the door, and then he looks at it. The jacket goes through the door, and then the dad looks back at Warner, and then Warner looks back, and he's like, "What the fuck's going on here?" Yeah.
So the kids go home, and the dad's there already, and he yells at them. Again.
Yes, they're creeping in with the books.
But he's also pretty chill about it.
Yes, he is, always.
He's like, you're in trouble, but I believe you about the scary, spooky flame ghost.
Yeah.
So I can't be that mad.
Well, yes, because the kids are like, well, I think we actually know I don't think it was a ghost that actually started our lawn on fire. I think it was Warner. And then he's like, well, I think you're right.
So then we get the most mundane possible reveal we could get in a movie like this, where we get a short history lesson on natural gas.
Yeah.
Where we learn through another flashback that Zachariah basically invented the harnessing of natural gas for lights and things.
Yeah.
And that he was actually like a really innovative guy, and the explosion of his wife's house was an accident from his invention.
So he didn't really start it on fire.
So I really felt that this was a sort of, just as far as like boring thing in a kid's movie.
Well, especially now, like there's still a lot left in the movie. Like you could have played him out as a villain, I think a lot more.
That this is very much in, speaking of under wraps at the beginning of this episode, that this was a Mr. Kubot faked his own death so he didn't need to pay taxes. Like, kids don't care about stuff like
so the reason
natural gas.
So the reason that he stayed behind and he's so mad is because people think that he murdered his wife. Right?
Kind of. Well, we'll get a little bit more for it. Makes more sense, but it's still like, you could have just had him be a scary flame ghost guy.
True.
You know, the witches in Hocus Pocus didn't have a redemptive arc. This is where Ian, because it's a decom and we're in about the third act, he has to get mad at his dad for some reason. Something about, you don't care about Grandpa and saving him or whatever. It
doesn't lead to much.
Doesn't really go resolved or anything. So he storms out. But then Ian goes to Mariah, who doesn't want to help him because she's this close to retirement. I'm just this close. You're out of line. You're a loose cannon, Ian.
1 week.
I can't waste my retirement.
That's right.
But then he uses reverse psychology to be like, you're not scared of Zachariah, which in the beginning of the movie, she was scared, it seemed. And then
she's like, I could do it with one hand. I could take him down.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay. So she's convinced. Oh, and then he also is like, well, if you do it, they might be like, hey, we'll really guarantee your retirement. And
we'll even apologize.
And it's like, this is a kind of just lose possible situation. She would have maybe gotten retirement if she didn't do anything, but she's risking something.
And like, spoiler, like the exact opposite happens.
Yeah, so it's very much like the beginning of the movie where they're like, hey, we're going to make a deal for you where you do your job. Where just everything with Mariah doesn't make any sense. And she has one little bit of goofy comedy here where, I don't know, she drops something and she's kind of just talking frantically in a way that's similar to how she is in maybe like Sister Act or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that was like, oh, that's fun. That's what she should be doing in this movie.
More.
And she doesn't do any of it.
No.
She's, as I said, the serious ghost.
Like you said earlier, they didn't utilize them the best they could have.
Yeah. Let her be the funny one and Jumper be the serious one. So then Claire and Dad discover, this is where that he was the visionary, Zachariah was the visionary inventor, and that people just didn't understand him. Because this was, Salem witch trials time.
Yes.
Except actually probably more like 50 to 100 years later.
Yes.
Where they, I guess, thought he was a warlock or something.
Ooh, starting those flames.
And speaking of flames, the festival kicks off with a gigantic burning, essentially Wicker Man with a pumpkin head.
Like that was like intense. Yeah. Like it really flames up. It's a big flame.
And it seems to be connected to Zachariah somehow, or I don't know.
Who knows why, how.
He just is connected to all
just big fires. Stuff. Just big fires. And it's a pretty cool festival.
Yeah, as I told Jacob, I felt greater Halloween vibes and satisfaction just from this festival.
People are dressed up
for like 5 minutes than all of Halloween time.
Was it? The only costumes I remember were people with big hats, like Zachariah's hat. Like, I only remember Zachariah.
It's non-copyright costumes.
They were dressing of the time.
They're like old games.
Yeah.
There's a Ferris wheel. And again, the gigantic burning pumpkin guy.
Some weird bowling game.
So Claire and Dad go and confront Warner here.
Yes.
Conveniently have brought the books with them to say... And
we know he was innocent.
Yeah, we know he was innocent. And this was, I thought, kind of interesting, but still also like, why would kids care about this? That Warner's trying to make Steeple Falls a hot tourist attraction like Salem.
Yes.
So he concocted this story that he knows really that Zachariah wasn't a bad guy.
And it's only because he wants more customers to go to his hardware store.
Because people don't want to go to a place. Because like Salem, people know now that they weren't real witches. They just go there because it's spooky.
Yeah.
But you could still be like, hey, they killed Zachariah, but he also wasn't a witch like those other witches. Yeah. But no, he's trying to concoct that. Oh, he was a spooky flame ghost man. and that's why people are coming there.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a neat development.
So, but he gets a hold of the books.
Yeah, good thing they brought him there and
he
talked to him
chucks
right
him
next
into
to
the
the big fire guy.
and they just burn up.
Oh, no!
And he's, ha 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 ha.
So then teleport to the mines where Mariah and Zachariah are having a very lame ghost fight.
She turns him blue at one point.
She, like, literally sneezes for her power, and it hits him, and he gets a cold or something.
That's what it was.
And the effects are terrible. It's very stupid. But then Zachariah does this, like, peace out, so then he comes out of the flaming effigy at the festival, and everybody can see his face. He's giant, like
He's
the
big.
Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
He's a big boy.
And he just starts fucking shit up. He's throwing giant fireballs.
He threw a fireball and hit the Ferris wheel and knocked the car off.
Everybody just disappears because, like,
they do.
We
like,
can't have that many extras right now.
Yes. So all
but,
it is,
as Jacob has talked about, there's a lot of extras here. This is a pretty great movie.
Yeah,
right now.
love you some extras. So all it is he targets Warner. He throws like one of his fireballs at Warner, and Warner just ducks in time.
Before he does that, actually, Warner apologizes. And this is where we get the motivation for why Zachariah. It's not necessarily that his wife died. I think that was on him. That was an accident. But the town accusing him, and then Warner concocting the story about him being evil.
Really hyping up the idea.
Well, now I want to destroy all of you.
Yes.
Why it took him this long since this festival has happened for 10 years, that's not really clear. Because the main characters hadn't shown up until now.
Exactly.
But Warner says, "Hey, man, I'm sorry that you're not a bad guy. It was all my doing. We cool." And Zachariah's like, "No, we are not cool." And throws the fireball.
It goes right over his head, and it singes his hat, and then he, like, passes out.
Yeah, it was a very, like, woo, like, Mr. Wilson, Dennis the Menace kind of face. A little.
So he's out of the picture. So all it is, Zachariah... And
Claire then is talking to him.
Yes.
She's like, "Oh, you're such an amazing inventor. Why do you want to be doing this?" And that doesn't really seem to be working, stroking his ego. But then she brings up Rebecca, his wife.
And then she shows him the cutout newspaper clipping that's like...
drawing of him in it.
It's really bad. But then he looks at it, and then he can picture her in his head, and she's very pretty.
And then she's in the mirror at the Soul Retrieval Center.
Yes.
And he's like, "Okay, yeah, my wife was pretty hot." And she was kind of a looker.
Yeah, she's kind of cute.
So then he just warps to the mirror. And
then it's over. Yeah, like a movie over.
And the flames die down from the Wicker Man, which is kind of a bummer because they probably wanted the bonfire to go a little bit longer.
Obviously.
And then all the trapped souls, including Jumper, unfortunately,
come out of the wall.
They go free.
Wall.
Wah wah wee wah.
And all the extras come back.
Yep, and the party's back on.
Yeah.
And then I think, I don't even know if Ian has shown up back yet. I think he's still in the mine. I don't know. Who cares? So they return back to Grandpa's house. What? Is there a figure?
There's somebody sitting, back? And nobody sees it when they're walking in.
And in a scene, an equivalent of The Other Me, where Grandpa talks for the first time, you get the reveal at the end that Grandpa was in that scene.
Yeah.
We see Grandpa in the background, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's Grandpa!" So they go talk to him.
Dad?
Really, the scariest thing of all is not getting closure with your daddy issues.
Yeah.
So Grandpa comes back, so then Ian's like, "Oh, my dad gets along with his dad, and Dad gets along with Grandpa, and they sort everything out, and everything is great."
Great.
If you want to have a little more detail, Grandpa was distancing himself from his dad because he wanted him to get out of the small town. So that's why he was too worried about his future to live in his present.
And then he makes a comment to his father. He's like, do you have some spare time to talk? He's like, eternity can wait. I have a couple hours for you.
Well, and also it's made out that he wasn't trying to get Ian to look at those books. He was trying to get Ian to look at the box of his son's memories or whatever.
Yeah.
So they saving the town was completely accidental.
Yeah. Accurate.
So that was kind of funny. So then Ian and Claire the next day, they're hanging out with the Soul Patrol.
Yes.
Ian's wearing a shirt that says "Dead People Rock."
I like that.
Which is
accurate.
Respectful.
Yeah.
Mariah is not in the scene because it sounds like she's passed on. But nope, she comes back out of the mirror and says, "You guys fucked up everything because everybody saw a big spooky ghost guy that now my retirement's been put out indefinitely."
Yeah.
So this is how you can maybe see, TV
sequel.
show.
Yeah.
But nope, because then also the kids say, nope, we're staying in town. And she's like, no, they're going to ruin my life. But
See,
also...
I can see where you'd get the idea of a sequel or a TV show, like where they're just helping the ghosts. Like,
there's
just
be evil ghosts all the time, probably.
Yeah.
Or
But I mean,
they could just have it be more low-key and just help ghosts pass on in kind of a basic ghost show. Of, what is this person's baggage? Well, let's ask Jerry Springer. So they stay in town because the dad opens up a medical practice in the old storefront, as we mentioned at the beginning of the movie.
You see them putting that up, and then you see Warner taking down all of his signs that said that it was...
Oh, that's what it said on that?
Yeah.
Home of Spooky's Ghost Guy.
Yeah, and then instead of the whatever festival, they changed it to the Inventor Festival.
That's
I think that's what
that doesn't line up with Halloween.
I think that's what the sign said. Inventor Fest.
You could still have it be about Zachariah and just tell the truth. Like, again, we don't think the Salem witches are actual fucking witches.
Yeah.
And then we get a last
but
nice little moment where they go back to Grandpa's and they bust out the old pumpkin carving machine and they try to finish it, but then it splats all over Dad.
Splats.
And almost splats over Coffin Ed, who has shown up to let it pass through him. And then
Lands
he says
on the
the
wall.
final line of the movie being like, it's pretty cool being dead sometimes.
Hey, it's Quance.
Something like, my wife.
My wife.
Wah wah wee wah.
Wah wah wee wah.
And that was the Scream team.
Or whatever the other version is.
Yeah. Maybe the next episode I'll dive deep into the... I can't only do so much research per single episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like... Certainly no Don't Look Under the Bed, and I think...
No, it wasn't scary, really.
I think the audience reaction they got at the time for Don't Look Under the Bed made it so they would never make another one because it was too scary.
That's a creepy movie. Like, that is. Like, it's a creepy setting, a creepy character, like, good, but
and
no,
I would have liked a little more Halloween setting. We get the Halloween festival, but there's not a lot of Halloween set dressing for a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
So if they had dialed that up a little bit more, I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. But it's just like, it's fine.
Better acting than the last.
It wasn't a fourth or a third Halloween Town.
I haven't really felt like we haven't had very many DCOM feels in the last few movies that we've watched. I don't feel
anything.
So this was fun.
I'm numb from the neck down.
Jesus, Christopher Reeves.
Something interesting looking ahead that we seem that we'll get we got 2 more fucking Halloween Towns to get through, but we seem that we'll have a consistent Halloween movie basically every year.
That's fine.
But 'Twas the Night will be the last Christmas movie until Good Luck Charlie. There's some Good Luck Charlie Christmas movie.
I wonder why.
I guess probably maybe they just didn't get the best ratings, or if you think about it, they've done like 3 now-ish, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just enough where in Christmas time, they just have enough to be able to put a few on. Maybe they put out some other Disney-owned movie on.
Yeah.
So, which is unfortunate because I thought 'Twas the Night was both a decent decom, but also captured the Christmas spirit.
That was the Bryan Cranston one, right? Mm-hmm. That was a good movie.
Well, look forward to Good Luck Charlie
Ultimate Christmas Present.
Yeah, I feel like there's one other, but it's slipping my mind. Maybe there's only the 2.
I don't
Ultimate
remember.
Christmas Present wasn't that bad either.
No, like that was like I was getting that kind of vibes from this movie. Like this was just it was a fun movie.
Yeah. And decent family stuff for a decom where it started off where I thought, this is pretty paint by numbers, and it's still plenty paint by numbers, but at least we didn't have the awful overbearing dad.
No.
He was just, he got angry a couple of times and then was just pretty much chill.
Weren't really any characters you really hated. I mean, Lucas hated Jumper. I wonder why.
I hated Zachariah. It was scary.
Yeah, it was a spooky dude.
Any other final thoughts on the Scream team?
I liked it. I enjoyed the movie.
So with that, 2002 has come to a close.
Wow, close the books.
Never-ending decom journey. What does 2003 bring?
What does it bring?
I don't actually know what the first one is, but at some point, Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off will happen.
And Dustin will be back.
Before Dustin comes on, we'll try to get our origin stories, the Jacob and Lucas introduction. But I'm taking a 3-day weekend. I want to enjoy my Halloween.
3 days.
Get this out to you guys on time. So
he wants to go watch some Mandalorian.
I mean, I paid for 3 years of Disney Plus, and they've only brought out... They haven't even done any of their fucking Marvel shows. Like, I understand coronavirus, but they announced a bunch of Marvel shows like Moon Knight.
You Wish is the next movie.
They haven't even cast it for Moon Knight.
Oh, we have some good ones coming up here. You Wish, right on track. The Even Stevens movie.
Oh.
Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off, The Cheetah Girls, Full Court Miracle, Pixel Perfect.
We don't need to go through
all man, I'm getting excited.
Well, you know what that means. Stay subscribed to this podcast. Write in, first of all, if you have some excitement. Write in about The Mandalorian? No, please don't. It's a fine show. It's fine. Write in about whatever at awholenewpod@gmail.com. Review us, rate us, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. We've gotten, I think, a few more ratings on there beyond myself, Caleb, and Dustin. So
a few more ratings. I like that. Any written ones?
No.
Just the...
Besides Dustin and my brothers.
Well, that's okay.
And then also follow us on Spotify, subscribe on Google Play, Stitcher, comment, like, subscribe to all our videos on YouTube.
All of them.
Only fun comment I have to report in on
a new one?
Alley Cat Strike. Somebody just put the emoji of the middle finger.
Why?
But it was the black middle finger. So
whoa!
I don't know how to take that, but I gave it a little heart to be like, okay, nice. Thanks for looking out for us. Why is this person angry?
Why are people mad? I don't get it.
Is it because of not the movie being uploaded? Is it because we weren't the hottest on the movie and this is just a huge Alley Cat Strike fan? Even putting Dustin Levac in his place as an Alley Cat Strike fan? Who knows? No more conspiracy theories yet about the podcast.
No.
Help us fight those like-dislike wars on all of those videos.
All the likes. All the thumbs up.
And if you haven't looked at the YouTube video for A Ring of Endless Light, you can enjoy the sensual kiss Misha Barton gives to the dolphin in that movie. It was kind of hard to capture because it fades quickly into Ryan Merriman. I'm like, I don't want her to kiss a boy. I want her to kiss the fucking dolphin.
Damn straight.
And I tried to screen cap it on my phone, but Disney Plus has some fucking
you can't screenshot.
It's stupid. Fuck Disney.
Boo.
Fuck Disney.
Fuck Disney.
And with that, we'll just go out and, as great as fuck Disney would be for final
enjoy
words,
your Halloween, even though Halloween's over.
Yeah.
Hopefully you didn't get razor blades in your candy.
Happy Halloween, and go vote.
Hopefully you voted.
Put your hands together, cover your eyes. Get ready for a big surprise. Spirits in a bottle, ghosts in the machine. Walking on water, floating on a dream. Who's fooling who? Who can you believe? Do you think you're gonna lose it? Are you sure what you just see? It's something underground. Did you hear that sound? What's cooking in your head? Are you shaking in your bed? When you don't wanna do what you think you wanna do, and you can't find a pop or a cop, and you got two friends, we hang it to the end, you're never gonna make a stop. If you see him coming, better start running with the Scream Team. Wanna treat or trick it, you know you gotta kick it with the Scream Team.
Please give me a whole tray of peas. Thank you.